让生命历历雨风伴随云烟，唤醒当下。每次落地，让生命历历雨风伴随。Good afternoon, everybody, and good morning, good evening. How are you all doing? My name is Heng. Glad you're with us today. If you've come to listen to our explanation of the picture biography of Master Empty Cloud, you are in the right place. We will be starting right away. Today is Saturday, February 24th, here in the Gold Coast of Queensland. It is Friday, February 23rd, back in California. It is 11:30 in the morning. Let's see here. No, 10:30 in the morning in Dongbei, China, where many of you are listening from. And it's 12:30 here in the Gold Coast. So let us begin. We're going to do our protocol. Before we get started, I'd like to let people know, 如果大家想听听我所讲的英文，你们愿意听一种流利的普通话呢？我们有办法，我们这有义工发心帮忙翻译，那你们控制板那里都可以听到那个interpretation 就好了，你可以听到中文。And not only do we have a translation into Mandarin, which is available to you thanks to the kindness of our big-hearted volunteers, we also have a translation into Vietnamese. If you would like to go to the chat box, you will find a link to our Vietnamese translation community. Furthermore, who in the future would like to request Dharma, we'll be happy to set a chance to request Dharma and make it possible for all of us to increase our wisdom. So today's Dharma requester is Xue Tingting in Suzhou. So we will ring the bell 3 times and do 3 half bows from where I'm sitting. You're welcome to bow from your seat if you can. And then we'll have Xue Tingting help us to request Dharma. So here comes the bell. I'm going to make 3 half bows. Please join. 一问讯 2问讯 3问讯 好的, Xue Tingting, if you would like to request Dharma, please go ahead and do it now.
恭敬大德圣听，为此法会济一切众生，请转妙法轮教导我们如何了生脱死离苦得乐，殊真无生。为了增加vigor virgin our compassion for a sacred resembling and all living beings, pasture love and the Dharma world, to teach us how to live suffering and the templates and humble Sundays, and quickly realize numbers.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the black, the noble, and the perfect enlightened one.
Namo Sadanto Suchedoye Allahadi Samya Samputoshe.
Namo Satanta Suchedoye Alakadi Samyo Sampo Toshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千
千
万劫
万
难
劫难
遭遇。
遭遇，
我
我
今见
今见
闻
闻
得
得
受
受
持，
持。
愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 师父上人，各位师兄，大家阿弥陀佛。Venerable Master, Dharma friends, welcome to our Sutra lecture. Glad you're here with us. Thank you for the Dharma request, Xue Ting Ting from Suzhou. How exciting that is to have our coastal China. Amazing, like people and Coastal whose sovereignty was never ceded. 就是说，我们恭敬地承认，有冈北语族的贡布马里人是我们寺院所在地的传统叙事和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有未放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。Okay. We have a variety of sources of our lectures, so we have a variety of acknowledgments as well. And we conclude our protocols with the bell song. Bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the truth. Oh. Fasher, you are muted, it says. Still no audio. Oh my goodness. Okay. There we are. Now we're back. Now that you need to know what you just looked at. You need to say, we want everybody to know that we are busily teaching living beings here in the post, including the occasional kangaroo who likes to bow to the Buddha. Okay, was it funnier with the sound on? I hope so. All right. You only didn't hear the joke. That's all right. It's all right. There we go. Good stuff. Now, today There are, at the moment, 82 of us here listening in, 92 at this point. Our host is in Ukiah, city of 10,000 Buddhas, and the co-host. It says my internet connection is unstable. Is that pay attention to? Maybe not. What do you think? Yeah, I've got D-Link is up. Dharma, oh, library, that's, hey, that should take care of that problem. Our co-host here in the Gold Coast and in内蒙古, in Inner Mongolia. How about that? Now, I tell you, is technology your friend? Okay, let's see. Vancouver, British Columbia. Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Where else? Let's see here. Campbell, California. Brian is here. Celeste is with us from Hong Kong. Connie from Sunnyvale. Cynthia from Saratoga. Duke Levan from Montreal, Quebec. Round Rock, Texas. Alameda, California. Tianjin, China. Berkeley, California. Jaita is, I thought she's here in the room, but she's, I guess, online. Okay, from next door. There we go. Okay, Jensen is in KL. Jerry's in Fremont. Jin Yongshi is in Taipei. Okay, he's our first Taiwanese attendee. Let's see here. Another friend from Tianjin, Union City, Waterloo, Ontario, New York City's Chinatown. Loy is here from Singapore. Liaoning, San Jose, St. Petersburg, Florida. Sun Mingfang from Taipei, welcome. Nini is here, glad you're here, from Philippines. Mesa, Arizona, Maryland, excellent. San Jose, Santa Clara, Elk Grove, from Tennessee, Baltimore, Maryland, Seattle, Oklahoma, San Jose, Ukiah, San Francisco, Virginia. Xingpei is here, apologies from Bernie, down in Sydney. Okay, welcome anyway. Ukiah, Vancouver. Okay, Taipei, Beijing, Baotou, Tainan, Shanghai, Harbin, Hangzhou. Let's see here. Xini, okay, that's all Sydney. Liaoning, Beijing, Liaoning. 哎，那么多辽宁的朋友。Okay. 兰海、苏州、San Jose, 陕西省宝鸡市。Okay, let's see here. 泉州、福建。吉林。Okay, let's see here. 安徽、山东、陕西、山东、北京。范京。Okay, good. 唐山、河北。北京、深圳。My old eyes. This is very small print. 南京、北京，那么多京，南海、海南、朝阳、山东、上海、辽宁 and 黑龙江. Okay, there we go. I'm glad you indulged me. That just seems so much fun. Okay, let's see. It should be stable now, right? Okay, it says 中文翻译声音很清晰. Got it? Good stuff. Well, what do you say? Should we get into our text today? I have the pleasure of being able to tell stories to all of you. This is a great joy from someone who loves to listen to stories. I am a story listener. Along with Brian Conroy, who is on our call today, we gave the Berkeley Monastery community a sense of the joy of developing our story listening muscles. Story listening muscles, which is to say that in the flow, in the everyday flow of conversation, how many people do we talk to during a day? How many people do we listen to during a day? How many words cross our ears during a day? How many words leave our mouths during a day? Someone, I'm sure, has counted them, probably some graduate student. In any case, no matter how many or how few, the flow of conversation crosses our ears, and what do we do with it in our minds? Someone whose story listening muscles are trained can, as the flow of conversation comes through, we can hear in someone's speech to us a beginning, a middle, an end, and sometimes even a principle behind the story. And if we're good at doing that, if we listen carefully to the flow of words that passes our ears every day, we can take from that stories that light up the heart, stories that bring comfort to times when we're in need, in grief. We can get information that helps us put things together in our lives and make sense. Further, we can hear stories ultimately that can wake us up. That is the power of language. We can get enlightened by listening to how a good and wise teacher can say just the right thing to help us break through the cover of ignorance in our minds. So, language is powerful. Story listening muscles that can be trained they can make just the average noise of the day into something very special and very precious. Now, this is useful for today's stories of Master Empty Cloud, because why? Here's our teacher. Let's take a look at, this is last week's story, last week's picture. The monk in the middle, the one wearing the patched robes, is bowing. Notice he's got one knee up, one knee down already. He's traveling outside of city walls through a mountainous landscape, and the passers-by are all staring. Some people are looking, they're heading into town. These folks are wondering what in the world this monk is doing, because you notice he's alone. Previous episodes of our biography, he was surrounded by companions. This story, he was going actually into Suzhou. Our Dharma requester today requested from Suzhou. As he was going into the city of Suzhou, he had monks beside him. He had people supporting him, bowing alongside of him. Those monks, his companions, the story last week was, they quit. They said, too tough, too difficult, too boring, too pointless. We're done. We have other things to do. So last week's story was going on alone, parting company at Changzhou and going on alone. So that's where we left him. Now, this week's story is about being able to listen to the noise that comes through and taking the words of a good and wise teacher and being able to wake up. All right, let's see. The title is Nanjing Li Lan Zu Ta, right? Some of our listeners today are in Nanjing. It is 1882. Our teacher, our hero, is 43 years old. Okay? 够大吗？看得到？看得到。Good. Okay. 好。Ready? No need to 合掌. This is not sutra. 这不是佛经，不必我就习惯合掌，不用。光绪8年，43岁，1882年，金陵牛头山。西唐贞观时，兰容禅师结毛于山，用功修道， 胡狼出没其间，各不相扰。四祖道信禅师，遥观山县子气，瑞云而来，访之，见兰师，士气明心见性妙理，成道塔在，公特望拜之。Okay, there we go. Big enough we can read it. There we go. On New To Oxhead Mountain in Jinling, Golden Hills, also known as Nanjing, during the Zhenguan reign period of the Tang Dynasty, the Chan master Lan Rong built a hut. He exerted himself in his cultivation of the way, neither disturbing or being troubled by the tigers and wolves that frequented the area. When the fourth patriarch, Dharma Master Dao Xin, faith in the way, observed this mountain from afar, he witnessed auspicious clouds of purple energy. When he reached the mountain, he called on Master Lan, who revealed to Dao Xin the wonderful principle of lighting up the mind and seeing the nature. The stupa, which commemorates his accomplishment of the way, still exists, and the Master Yun made a special point of bowing to this stupa. Okay, so here's the story. Let's take a look. Here is Master Xuyun, our hero, bowing to this stupa. What's a stupa? A stupa is a religious structure. Right outside the window where I'm sitting here, Gold Coast Dharma Realm, we have a magnificent gold-colored stupa, which has some wonderful features of it. One is that the Diamond Sutra is inscribed outside it. The entire Vajra Sutra, Jinggang Jing, the Diamond Sutra, is incised on our golden stupa here in raised characters that you can walk around it and read the whole Diamond Sutra. Also, our stupa is a strange word, S-T-U-P-A. You see it in the title here? Stupa, right there. A stupa in Chinese is called a ta, and a ta is a place where you store the relics of wise men and women who realized the way. When these men and women to say that they realized the way, not everyone, but they certainly were virtuous. The result of that virtue is when their bodies are cremated in the fires of the cremation pyre, there are aspects about their physical body that become like gems, like jewels, like gemstones. The flames, the heat of the cremation fire takes the Jing, Qi, Shen, the essence, energy, and breath of their physical bodies, and turns it into, smelts it into these, if you've seen Sharira, they're called S-H-A-R-I-R-A, Sharira. In English, we call them relics. If you've seen these relics, they are like little gems. They're like sometimes the size of a grain of rice. Master Empty Cloud, the teacher, the very teacher who we're talking about, left behind a great many Sharira. Master Xuanhua, our founder, sent disciples to China, and they brought back 7 of these Sharira. They're the size of peas and perfectly transparent. They look like glass. They look like diamond. Remarkable, remarkable. So those are Sharira that get put into the stupa. The relics get put into the religious structure. We have here, Gold Coast Dharma Realm, the Buddha's Sharira and also the Sharira of our teacher, Master Xuanhua. So there are lots and lots and lots of miracles that have been passed on over the years, over the centuries, about stupas. People who circumambulate the stupa, while being mindful of the verse from the Avatamsaka Sutra, spontaneously recover from illnesses. People who could not fathom the answer to personal issues and troubles, big troubles, circumambulating a stupa, the idea came to them, and it was the right answer. There are many, many miraculous stories about stupas. This one is about the Patriarch Lan Rong, Chan Master Lan Rong, who went to this place called Niutou Shan, Oxhead Mountain. Here it is. Here's the artist's picture of it. He went to Niutou Shan, and in the Tang Dynasty, which is about 1400 years ago, in the reign of the Zhangguan period, this Chan master built a hut out on the mountain and cultivated the way. Out there, no exaggeration to say there were tigers and wolves on the mountain. In fact, right now, not in Niutou Shan, but in Zhongnan Shan further west, there are panthers. China still has these indigenous big cats called shanbao that are out there, and cultivators do run into them. So back in the Tang, you can imagine how wild it was. And what about it? 各不相容. The cultivator and these large carnivorous beasts mutually respected each other, didn't bother each other. Probably the tigers were amused by this man who wouldn't move, who just sat there and radiated light. So in the Chan school, we know who the earliest cultivators were from who? From the Buddha to Bodhidharma and on down through the generations. The fourth patriarch from Bodhidharma was known as Dao Xin. He was a famous Chan monk, and he was walking by Niutou Shan, and with his spiritual vision saw purple energy, purple clouds of light, which is the most auspicious color, circling the mountain. So he went to check it out, what was going on. He went up to the straw hut and found Master Lan Rong, and who was already awake. Master Dao Xin transmitted to him the principle of Ming, Xin, Jian, Xing. Those are four powerful words in the Chinese Mahayana. Literally, light up the mind, see the nature. So, showed him the wonderful principle of Ming, Xin, Jian, Xing, how to break through the ignorance that covers the mind and how to see your Buddha nature. Transmitted to him. So, Master Rong Cheng Dao woke up, accomplished the way. His, the stupa that housed his relics were still there. So, our hero, the subject of our biography, Master Empty Cloud, was bowing by, 3 steps, 1 bow, and bowed up to the stupa and paid his respects. And here he is. There's the story. Now, Shifu commemorated it with a 4-line verse. Here we go. Ready? 观世何人心何物，虎狼围绕狮坐步，上座左右这个村，作书佛字物为物。Who is it who contemplates, and what sort of thing is the mind? As tigers and wolves encircled him, the fourth patriarch expressed fear. Venerable elder, said Master Lan, do you still have this? The patriarch, writing Buddha on the rock and inviting the master to sit, replied when the master refused, you haven't awakened beyond that? Okay, people are going, what? What is that about? Well, you've asked that to the right person, because I got the story. There's a story within a story. Here's the story. I need to dig it up right there. There it is. Okay, I'm going to help the translator out. The translator says, "Thank you, Dharma Master." Okay. There we go. I'm going to have to pull this out. It's in, there we go. It's still in the HTML. Here we go. What is this? This is a story within a story. The stories of the patriarchs are the stuff of legend, not so, because why? The Chinese are great historians. The Chinese really value accurate accounts of words that people said even 1,000 years ago. The Chinese have historical records back to the Shang and the Yin dynasties. Now, people think, my goodness, well, you know, there are those who will tell you what Jesus said to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, right? What are the Gospels, the New Testament and the Holy Bible, if not an account of words that Jesus spoke? Some people will tell you that a certain percentage of them are true and others not so, but that's a discussion for another time. The Tang Dynasty, we have right here an account of a conversation between Master Lanrong and the fourth patriarch, Daoxin. Here's the story. Let me read it for you. Okay, this is the 32nd Niu Shan patriarch, Fa Rong. Let's see, Chan Rong Fa Shi. Okay, he was named Wei. At age 19, he went out to live in the wilds, shaved his head. He went to Oxhead Mountain and lived in a stone room and sat and contemplated his mind, sat in stillness and looked at his mind. He met the fourth patriarch, who came out to investigate what was the purple-colored energy around the mountaintop. So the patriarch saw our monk, Master Lanrong, sitting there in stillness, and he challenged him. He said, "Who is contemplating? What kind of thing is the mind? Guan shi he ren. Who is doing the cultivating, the contemplating here? And what is the mind?" Master Lanrong had nothing to say, couldn't answer, silent. Cui Zuyan, then he invited the fourth patriarch in to pour him some tea. And the fourth patriarch noticed outside lions and wolves circling the hut. Oops. He saw wild animals out there, and he was afraid. He was afraid of what they were. He expressed fear. So our teacher, Master Rong, said, "Oh, you still have that there. You still have that, huh? You're still holding on to that, huh? 有这个在," he said. You're still holding on to the self that is afraid, huh? And the patriarch, kind of a little upset that he had now been shown to actually still have something that was afraid, he went over to the meditation cushion of Master Rong, and being a bit, in Australia we say cheeky, he wrote the character Buddha on his seat. He just wrote 佛, 足以是坐上座一个佛字. he wrote Buddha on the meditation cushion. So our teacher, our hero, was not willing to sit. He's, oh, now I can't meditate. I can't sit on the cushion because you got the Buddha there. I don't dare sit on the Buddha. And the fourth patriarch said, oh, you mean you still have that here, huh? You still got something left, too. You, too, still have something left, right? In other words, there's embers still in the ashes. You haven't completely extinguished your mind. So our teacher, Master Fa Rong, bowed to the fourth patriarch and asked for Dharma. The patriarch spoke for him and said, Dun Jiao Fa Men, I am taking the sudden awakening Dharma of Master Seng Can, the third patriarch, and Jin Fu Yiru, transmitting it to you now. Xiang Hou Dang You Da Zhe. If people who come to study in the future, you can teach them that, transmit this to them. Si er fa xi da sheng. The Dharma flourished greatly after this. Hou de shang zuo zhi yan. He passed on the Dharma later to one of his disciples was Master Xuyun, who was significant in the Avatamsaka school, Fuzhu Fa Yin. He transmitted the Dharma seal to him, and Ming Nian Zheng Yue Shi San Year. The next year, when is that? It's hard to know exactly when. On the 13th day of the first month, he passed away without the slightest illness. So he knew when he was going to die, and was able to, as they say, lai ming qu bai. He was clear about where he came from and clear about where he was going. So accomplished the way, enlightened monk. So there you go. There's the story, and yeah, very cool. This is this is the monk whose sharira were in the stupa that Master Empty Cloud was bowing to on his 3 steps, 1 bow pilgrimage. So bowing by, he happened to pay respects to the Sharira stupa of the monk who said to the fourth patriarch, oh, you still got a little bit left, a little self is still there to be afraid. And fourth patriarch wrote Buddha on the seat. And now, interesting, if you think about that, I guess what that means is, according to the fourth patriarch, Dao Xin, if Master Fa Rong was really, Lan Rong, if he was really enlightened, he would have sat on the Buddha, I guess, without complaint or something like that. That's the implication. So what I think is neat about this story within a story is just the historical fact of this encounter being passed on to 1882, when the conversation that we were just party to happened in the 7th century. So 1100 years later, we still can remember to this day now on into the 21st century. So the value of history, and this is, what is it called? It's Buddhist history, but it's also hagiography. It's the telling of spiritual stories, which require a bit of belief to kind of have their value, but still in the telling, there's something important in carrying on you can see the personality of both the monks involved. And the two of them were engaged in this project of waking up. And yet here in the 21st century, we can hear the challenges that each of them levied each other. And the result of, first of all, Daoxin traveling up to this unknown Chan monk's hut to see who he was, and then taking his measure and being honest about, seeing tigers and wolves, and saying, yeah, I'm scared, and then finding a way to challenge the monk who was comfortable with the animals, but was not comfortable sitting on the Buddha. And that's really interesting. Lively, fresh, and enough to wake him up. All right. Now, as I mentioned, I have my own stories from my 2.5 years of similar pilgrimages, and yet I was the second Three Steps One Bow pilgrimage in the U.S. And you know what we have as a result of Shifu's encouragement to both myself and Bhikshu Heng Chao. He also encouraged Bhikshu Heng Ju and Heng Yo, the first two Three Steps One Bow monks, to write their story, to keep a journal of what they encountered. And given our story today, I thought, hey, I would like to check the journal called Three Steps One Bow, written by Bhikshu Heng Ju and Heng Yo, to punctuate, to share with, to share with all of us. So, and I found a great story. I want you to be able to read it. So, let's see. Maybe it's two, and I don't think I can make it bigger. Yeah, that might be as big as, I'll have to read it for you. Okay, we're in May 1974. Heng Ju is writing. It's down here. You're not going to be able to see it, sorry. 2 American missionaries from China have come out to convert us within the last week. They were both surprised to discover that Bhikshu Heng Yo has an impeccable command of Mandarin Chinese. One of them, an ex-Marine, has invited us to stay at his house for the night as we pass through. That should be interesting. Today, I bowed along the sand dunes within half a mile of the ocean shore. I got in a solid 7 miles. Just before quitting time, a young Jehovah's Witness, about age 19, appeared and made a gallant attempt to save me. He had with him pamphlets that were to be spread all over the world, telling of the coming judgment day, which apparently is due to arrive any moment. 这个是传教的哈，天主基督教的传教士。Yeah. He went into his well-practiced pitch at a rate of speed that allowed no interruptions. I patiently stood there for several minutes as he rattled on. Quote, "Those who believe will be rewarded with eternity in paradise. Those who don't will forever burn in hell." It was starting to sound like a broken record. So I picked up a twig from the roadside and began examining it very closely. He too began to look at it. He talked faster and faster, but his eyes were glued to the twig. Right then, I knew I had him. Finally, he paused for breath, and I said, "Do you know what this is?" 你这里还有这个吗？你这里这个还在？ "It's a stick," he replied. "This is God," I said, and gently tossed the stick high into the air. His mouth dropped open, and his eyes followed the stick as it sailed off into the bushes. I didn't say another word, but immediately began bowing. I went about 100 feet and glanced back to see him standing there like a piece of shattered glass. Finally, he put himself back together and ran up alongside of me, hopping along like an overgrown rabbit. But God is alive. He has intelligence. You've just got to believe. I didn't pay any more attention to him. Eventually, he faded away, mumbling to himself. Okay. So, now if we compare Tim Testu's, this is Tim in front bowing, and that's Bhikshu Hengyo carrying the pack. As we're coming up in our next couple weeks of lectures here from the stories from Master Empty Cloud's picture biography, we are going to meet the beggar Wenji. Wenji turns out, very important to Master Empty Cloud because he saves his life. It's not next week, but the following week, Master Empty Cloud is bowing now in the winter, and the snow falls so heavily that ordinary people with horses and carts can't travel the roads. How much the less can a monk on foot bowing travel the roads? He's stuck, nowhere to shelter, and the snow falls. And I don't want to spoil the story, but he is in danger of his life. And if I tell you more, I'm gonna, it'll be a spoiler. So I will say that Bodhisattva Manjushri, in his transformed body, saves our monk twice. So how interesting that Manjushri Bodhisattva also shows up to Bhikshu Hengju and Bhikshu Hengyo in a very dramatic encounter, which it's not here in May, it's later on. So I've got that story to share with all of you, but I'm going to wait until Wenji, the beggar, meets Master Empty Cloud, and then we'll compare 1880s Wenji and 1970s Manjushri Bodhisattva. Their appearances are, his appearance in both cases is really, really consequential. So that's coming up. Okay, now, I wanted to point out the value of Master Daoxin coming, when he's challenged by Lanrong Chanshi, who is used to the animals walking around. Master Daoxin expresses fear at seeing, carnivorous wild animals. Ooh. And Lanrong Fasher's mind is just about ready to wake up. That's why there's purple energy. That's why Master Daoxin goes to see him. And he's not far from enlightenment, so he's able to pick up on the presence of the fear in the mind of the patriarch. It's an emotion. And he says, "Oh, 你这个还在." So you still got some fear in there, right? And at that point, how does the patriarch respond? Well, he's maybe a little miffed, He's like, "No, I was just afraid of being eaten. I'm not, I haven't seen tigers that close, or leopards," right? So he says, "Aha, I know exactly how to wake up this monk." So he writes Buddha, Fo, on his meditation cushion. And that's enough to trigger the doubt in the mind of the Chan monk. And so he says, "Oh, 你这个还在, huh?" comes back with the same line, and it's just right. It's exactly what he needs to wake up the mind of Master Faro, Master Lanrong. So that was just what it took. And it's funny how those affinities between teacher and student, between, in this case, a stranger, but just the right monk, to add an ounce of weight to his mind and open the lock of his wisdom. So, flash forward to 1974, and here we have a 19-year-old Jehovah's Witness proselytizer, a missionary who's a teenager, probably a little nervous, but he's got a perfect, what do you say, captive audience in this Buddhist monk bowing to the highway. Perfect opportunity to practice his skill at saving souls. So he starts to preach, and he gives him the lines that are approved. And if Bhikshu Hangju were a different person, a different situation, it might have been just right. Tim Hangju might have stood up, taken off his precept sash, and asked to be saved. That didn't happen. Tim instead took the role of teacher and saw the earnest 19-year-old preacher, his nervousness and the fact that he was, probably clinging to his message, and used a stick and said, "What is this?" And Tim professed deep interest in the stick and didn't say anything else. And then said, "You know what this is? It's God." Tossed it in the air. And it was enough to confound the preacher. So another lesson, similar kind of exchanging teaching. Now, the 19-year-old was not about to get down on his knees and bow to the Buddha, but he probably gave him some food for thought, you might say, and possibly helped him improve his pitch. And that's, for me, speaking as somebody who was preached at every day of my pilgrimage by preachers young and old, male, female, Eastern, Western. If I had $1 for every time I was saved by earnest preachers, I would be a wealthy monk, indeed. So I am very sympathetic to Tim wanting to help out the preacher. And my salvation was that I wasn't talking. And because I was silent, I saved myself lots of trouble, because I probably would have tried to come back and be clever the way Hangju was for the preacher. But all I had was bowing, and the power of silence saved me from many encounters, many fights. Arguing about the presence or the absence of the sacred is not time well spent, indeed. Master Hua gave us the 6 guidelines. 不争, we don't fight. And the purpose of religion is not to be proven right, indeed. So here on my desktop, we see Sudana, the pilgrim, Shancai Tongzi, paying respects to Manjushri Bodhisattva. I'm going to do a shameless ad for my lecture tomorrow. It's 1:30 you can watch it on YouTube or catch it on Zoom. Manjushri Bodhisattva has picked out Sudana and given him the benefit of his attention, because Sudana is about to begin his pilgrimage to 53 teachers, and it's Yi Sheng Cheng Ban. He wakes up in a single lifetime. And the Avatamsaka Sutra is just incredible. What is coming up? Let me show you. Sudana praises Manjushri Bodhisattva in 37 verses. Here it is. It's Sudana's Song to Manjushri. This is the English translation of it. And I will tell you that in reading these verses, this is spoken word poetry. It's like a poetry slam. Sudana reveals his energy, his enthusiasm, his youthfulness. It's the poetry of a young man. This is not elegant verse. This is not profound quatrains from an enlightened mind. It's energy. 17 of the verses end with, "May I ride upon that carriage. 愿我坐此乘." He says, "I want to ride in that car. Save me a seat in that car," he says. "May I ride in this carriage." What is he praising? The Mahayana, the great vehicle. And these verses come from a kid looking at a Chevelle Super Sport with ported Venturi carburetors and torsion bar suspension, a 442, you know. This is a kid looking at a hot rod. It's so wonderful to have youthful energy in verse that you can tell that this is a young man's praise of a hero, Manjushri Bodhisattva. It's just great. So please do join in tomorrow. We'll be with 37 verses. We're not going to finish it in 1 week. We'll be with it for a while. So do tune in. 1:30 here at Gold Coast time. It's 7:30 in California time. It's just fine. I really can't praise it enough. All right. So that being said, I would like to invite you now to dedicate merit with me wherever you would care to share your energy. Question from Jayita. Jayita, you don't have to email me. You can ask me in person. You're here. That's no problem. Okay. My background has lots of background noise. Wonder if the correct mic is selected. Yes, it is. But it's almost 30 some degrees here. That's why I've got we've got the air conditioning on. So, sorry about that. But we couldn't do it without the air conditioning. Okay, dedicate our merit. Here we go. Please make a wish. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Alrighty, we can bow to the Buddha together. Bow right from your seat if you care to. Here we go. Second bow. And third bow. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Alrighty, that's going to do it for us for today. We will see you all next week. Amitofo, everybody. Bye now.